Adrian Bouet. And his opponent in the bottom right-hand side, playing for Cosmos Esports. He is the Swedish Zerg player. We know him as Rickard Mechanics Bergman, but his real name is SortOf.
Well,
really impressive.
Go on, sorry.
No, he's had a really impressive start. His first couple of series were really good. He beat Lambo 2-0. Who else did he manage to beat? SortOf also beat Goblin 2-0. He has lost to Vanya, and I believe he lost to Raynor. So the games he's lost, I'd say, are the maybe Vanya is, you know, hit or miss. You never know who's going to show up when you play Vanya.
Right.
But SortOf has been consistently very good in this tournament. But he hasn't played a Protoss player yet. Oh no, he 2-0'd Goblin. Okay. Goblin's a unique Protoss player. He plays the 4th race, which is Phoenix's.
He does. Hang on, I'm trying to sort out our volume issues in the chat as well. But you're absolutely correct. One thing that's been really fascinating about Group D here is the Zerg chain of command in Group D, because as you said, SortOf beat Elaser 2-0 on the first day, I believe. And then after that, so after SortOf beat Elaser 2-0, Elaser lost to Vanya, and then SortOf beat Vanya, right? So it's like this weird player A beats player B beats player C, and then player C beats player A. So it's this, who knows who's in the lead here? And all these players really tight right now. Group D, one of our most fascinating groups in the tournament, because right now we've got 2 clear winners, 2 clear losers, and then the 4 in the middle are really going to be scrapping for those middle spots.
Just a quick shout out, Alpha X rating us with 150 Alpha Doodle peoples. Thank you so much, Kozan and the boys.
Dragons.
So good to see you. Creighton's teammates. Apparently I am too low, Creighton. I don't know if you fixed it yet.
You're too low? I couldn't tell. Okay, Grant is too low. Let me adjust you just a little bit more here. We'll see if that helps. If not, I'm sure we'll continue to get yelled at. Yeah. That's all right.
For now, this game playing out pretty normal. We have 3 hatches down. Queens are on the way. We have a well-timed Stargate from DnS, and DnS very much a Stargate player. He usually goes for a couple of Oracles and a Phoenix. He may open with a Phoenix here just to clear Overlords. No, he's going to go straight for the Oracle, and of course on this map it's a very, very nice option, because you're not going to run into anything in the lower side except maybe an Overlord, and all they could do is go at you. So they're not the most effective.
I'm a little worried right now, though, for DnS, as SortOf has all these lings converging on the natural right now. Now, DnS is walled off. He has a Stalker and an Adept here. Another Adept all the way out.
Battery, then.
And Workgate Research coming out, but you're right, there's no battery. And this is going to be a lot of lings, a total of 27 lings on the map right now. And there we go. Finally, we see a couple more coming down. A battery and another gateway to try and reinforce this. But this is going to be a lot of early damage here for SortOf.
Yeah, the good thing is, sure, the Stalker will go down and things like that, but another Adept will pop out, and the Oracle can just stay at home. This is a lot of committal to lings. This is a lot of committal, more importantly, to not drones. Look at the work it can, Creighton.
Massively in favor of DnS here. SortOf, he's completely all in. He's making 18 more lings right now, picking down this wall little by little, but Warpgate Research is finished, which is huge. And now the first shield battery is done. A couple more gateways coming in to try and block this off.
3 Adepts.
Yeah, while SortOf is committing a lot to drones here, DnS is absolutely building an awful lot of wall that he doesn't want to be building, but he is just so close. Finally, the link's going to break through the wall and get in here, but is there just too much for SortOf, Grant?
I'd like to see DnS re-wall off as quick as possible. He's now sitting at a few extra gateways. He has an Oracle. He has another Oracle, soon to have 3 Oracles. There's just no way this does the damage behind this. We're seeing only lings being made, but they're never hitting that critical mass. There's a battery done. There's going to be a super battery available. I think DnS is in a great spot, Creighton. You can't break him now.
Nah, this looks like a pretty clear hold. I would be very surprised. Honestly, I was a little surprised he's sort of continuing to attack with like little flocks of Zerglings, rather than waiting until he has critical mass. And so when the wall finally breaks, you've got 400 Zerglings pouring into your opponent's base. As it is, SortOf is just sending 10 lings across, 20 lings across at a time, and it's just not enough. DnS is going to hold there, and he's going to grab game number 1.
Yeah, perfect defense from DnS. Really, really. You can't ask for anything more. To build your buildings back like that, it's very difficult under pressure to not leave a gap. And that's exactly what DnS didn't do. Sure, eventually like 6 lings got in, but really, what did they do? They died to a couple of Oracles. And we didn't see any strange reactions with Void Rays or anything like that. DnS was confident, his work account was great, and DnS just taken a very clean game 1.
cool head, clear eyes. What is it? I don't know. Whatever. He was.
I don't know.
There's some American football TV drama. What clear eyes, full hearts. That's what it was. And at the end, the coach always gives the inspirational locker room speech where he's like, "Clear eyes, full hearts, let's go." And it's inspirational for some reason. I feel like DNS had clear eyes and a full heart there.
If we're talking about inspirational, have you seen the Eurovision movie?
Oh my God, I haven't. How is it, Grant?
Oh my God, it's so good. Right, now, I'm not really a big fan of, like, cheesy comedy movies.
Sure.
It's not really my thing, and Will Ferrell, to me, is like, you know, I can enjoy a Will Ferrell movie. This is the best movie ever made. Like, actually, I don't even want to talk about StarCraft today. I just want to talk about how hilariously funny this movie was.
Wow,
but I guess we probably shouldn't do that.
I'll have to do it. I almost got sucked into a Eurovision watching party one time.
Oh, so good. Were you in the EU at the time?
Oh, of course. Why the hell else would I be watching Eurovision?
You just get super drunk and watch Graham Norton insult all of the talent. It's so good.
Now that does sound entertaining.
Yeah, that's what they are.
Well, you know what else is entertaining, Grant, is this Game 2 here. Game 1 lasting all of, 5 minutes? And let's see if Game 2 has a little more in store. Spawning the bottom left-hand side of Ice and Chrome, one of our new maps here. It is our French Protoss player, currently on 1 win, looking for his first match win of the tournament. From Cascade Gaming, it's DnS.
And his opponent, who needs every map win he can get, losing that first map could be vital for him. Playing for Cosmos Esports, he is the Swedish player. It's SortOf.
Sort of a huge pickup by Cosmos Esports, who have been making moves. Briefly signing Special there for a while, grabbing SortOf.
Yeah.
They're all over the place between Cosmos Esports, Alpha X, and Exxon Gaming. I feel like every good teamless European player has been able to find a home short of, like, Lambo.
Yes. Yeah, Archangel maybe being the one other one I'd add to that as well. Picking up.
Right.
I picked up Marsman yesterday, who's like one of my favorite players in the world, so I'm kind of happy about that. Similar volume concern.
I think we're good, Grant. I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay.
My levels tell me that you're just fine. People who don't know about audio, complaining about audio. If that isn't Twitch chat GMs, I don't know what is. Third base, natural finishing up for Sword, but it is in this third base location, blocked out by the probe of DNS. No surprises so far in this game. Hatch, Gas, Pool, and I believe Gateway, Cyber Expand out of DNS. So DNS goes Stargate in Game 1, and it pays off for him because the defense get the Link Flood was really useful, those 2 oracles. What are you hearing in Game number 2, or what are you seeing in Game number 2? What do you think DNS needs to do if he wants to take control of this map?
By forcing the third, there is the chance that he will go for something like Glaives. He is making an Adept to start with. It's a little bit early to tell right now. He's got his gases, as you'd expect. No gases on the natural because it's not done. No second gateway done in the wall just yet. Everything at home. He has now Pylon block. That leads me to think we may see... Okay, no, it is going to be a Stargate here once again from DNS, and he will just be going for what he wanted to do in Game 1. He's now just going to try and execute in Game 2 because he can be aggressive rather than defensive.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a good call. He's trying to go to the Stargate again, and as you said, aggressive rather than defensive, with no Ling Flood appearing to be on the way from SortOf. The Oracle should be able to get a lot of damage done.
Yeah, SortOf already droning further than they did last game and continuing to do so, making more queens, adding in more overlords and things. It looks like SortOf will play this one out. Maybe he didn't want to play the last map. Maybe he thought there was something in DNS's game that made it very vulnerable on that map, and it didn't quite work out. DNS adjusting. It's hard to know. I still think SortOf is certainly going to have a good time here. He's a great player. And we're looking at a pretty standard map here of Ice and Chrome. No weird features. It's just pretty easy to get 3 bases. Very easy once you get 3 to take 4.
Absolutely. Sorry, I can't tell if you're pausing or if you're feeling a little sick and you have to stop speaking.
Yeah, very sick.
I can't tell when to jump in and rescue you here. The wall is going to hold for DNS, but as you were saying, Ice and Chrome, a really cool map. Not just because the third is fairly easy to take, sort of like some other maps. It's very narrow gaps here. But man, the middle architecture of this map, the middle of Ice and Chrome, is fascinating. There are so many opportunities for good players to set up traps, to set up a positioning advantage for themselves. There are ramps all over the place. There's a very awkward low ground that you kind of have to bounce up and down in between if you want to make your way across the map. I'm just so happy with our map pool this season, and Ice and Chrome is one of those maps that I feel like is so well designed. It's predictable, and players know how to play it, but it's still interesting in the middle at the same time.
Yeah, we do see DnS hasn't really found any damage, but he has pushed everything back, and now he's moving out with a few Adepts and an Oracle. He has a Phoenix at home, just picking off Overlords left, right, and center, and will continue hunting. And there's the potential here, if DnS controls this perfectly or SortOf makes any mistakes, for damage to be done. Now, there are Spore Crawlers, everything is okay, and we're seeing a late Glaive Adepts attack coming out here at DnS, and I love it.
You do. I was about to say it's not my favorite build in the world. I usually like it's rare for me to see this attack do like massive damage unless the Zerg player makes a big mistake, and I think that's what DnS is counting on. If you open Stargate and your Stargate is spotted early, and you have to sort of fall back on this this like almost secondary Glaives timing, it's not what he wanted to do initially. But it's his weird follow-up to a Stargate that didn't work. It's going to hit a little bit later. The Zerg player is going to be a little bit more ready for it. Roach is guaranteed to be on the map. And that's not to say it won't do some damage, because, of course, Glaive Adepts are always terrifying. But I feel like with the Glaive Adepts after Stargate, it's never my favorite build. And I'm interested to see if this actually large amount of Glaive Adepts, 14 of them, can do any damage at all.
Yeah, and I think the threat that SortOf needs to be ready for is, of course, there are 14 resonating Glaive Adepts moving across the map, but there's also an Oracle, and that Oracle is ready to strike where the Glaive Adepts are not. So economic damage could certainly be on the cards. Now, maybe the actual tech tree here. And DnS isn't great. He doesn't have as many abilities to scale as well into the mid-game, but you can see he's already going to start picking off drones, and this is just the beginning. Now we're going to see a whole bunch of drones go down, and I really don't think that that SortOf was prepared for this.
Man, I agree with you. He's looking... I was so excited for him to be prepared for this and to get some damage, or to destroy this damage and push back. But already 11 drones gone. We see the recall going down for these Adepts. They're going to return back home to the main base, but 11 drones going down for the cost of 6 Adepts. Not the best damage in the world, but not bad at all from DnS for a follow-up to a Stargate. And behind this, Robo, couple of Mortals, Forge, third base. He seems to be doing everything right.
Yep, this was really nice. He actually did end up keeping the Oracle at home and not attacking at the same time, because he had so many Adepts that maybe the Oracle wasn't going to find angle, and he wanted to be ready for any Ling counterattacks. I think DnS is playing a very smart game of StarCraft so far. He's teching up at a good pace. You can see he's free base against free base Zerg. That's insane. You just don't ever want, as a Zerg player, to be a base behind. And DnS now, he's getting those Immortals. I imagine we're going to see a whole bunch of Zealots and a few Sentries coming in pretty soon. We're seeing a Gateway explosion in the main and in the third, as he throws down a few more. +1 on the way. That's at the same time as his opponent. He's not going to have Blink, but he's not relying on that. He's relying very heavily on this ground force that is going to build up of Mortals, of Zealots, of Adepts, and of Archons. And I think right now, SortOf is... He's not dead by any means, but the next attack is going to be pivotal in this game.
Absolutely. Sort of a little bit interesting. I was trying to check out his economy. He was building a ton of drones. I thought he might just be going all in with these Roach Ravagers, but behind that he was building 10, 15 more drones. But all his bases were already saturated, so I think his fourth base a little bit late. I'm not sure if that's a mistake from SortOf. He certainly could have defended it by now. His creep spread is just fine. But his fourth base finally down, but he's going to be a bit behind. If you look at that income graph, we can see that it's still fairly even, with DnS taking some spikes here and there with that Glaive Adept push. So yeah, SortOf finally replacing all those lost workers, but as you said, a Zerg player who is even on base with a Protoss, even on workers with a Protoss, is not a happy Zerg player at all. These Lings going to try and do a counterattack in the third base, but I think DnS should be defending well. He's got Storm on the way, and he's starting a fourth base of his own. Grant, our Protoss player, seems to be holding very well here.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't take any damage at the moment, he's completely fine. Storm is a very nice choice, and it's not one that you actually see every day anymore in this matchup. A lot of people who are preferring to go more Archon-based. But when you're playing against Ling, Bane, and a few Roaches, and it's so heavy Zergling-based, look at how many Lings are going down. There are still, actually only 16, but there are 24 Lings in the production tab. One Storm kills that. So that's 12 larvae and however much money it would cost to produce all of those lings. And they're really, if the storms are good, the potential for damage right now for SortOf is, I'd say, limited.
Yeah, I agree completely. 4 Immortals out, 3 Immortals out now. The Warp Prism is not with this army. There's no Warp Prism on the map at all, in fact. That's a bit of a mistake from DnS. If he wants to be aggressive here, you almost have to have that Warp Prism juggle the Immortals. But he's got good Revelations down on the Queens. He's been picking back this creep spread little by little, but SortOf pushing out for an attack here. And his army supply is looking pretty scary, actually. A ton of Banelings in the field right now. 38 Banelings, and the first storm going to get dodged here. DnS has got to play this very well, or else he could get overrun.
Yeah, he has so many storms, though. We're looking at a good 5 or 6. Nice stasis ward there, trapping some of these units. And DnS doesn't need to attack. He's got 4 bases. As a Protoss player, if you're sitting on 4 bases by 10 minutes, you're over the moon. It's the best day of your life. And with Storm, with +2 on the way, which hasn't even started yet for a Zerg player, great defense there too. This is going to be so tricky right now for SortOf.
Yeah, SortOf is in a tough spot. We talked a bit earlier about the architecture of this map, and one of the reasons the 4th base is, or the 3rd or 4th base, depending on how you take them, is so easily defensible, because look how narrow this choke point is.
Yep.
1 stasis covers the whole thing. A couple Banelings do get into the probe line, but there's not a whole lot of probe saturated there, so only 6 probe fields. But yeah, this 3rd base very narrow. Oh my god, Banelings in the backside, though, SortOf going for the 2-pronged attack, Grant.
Storms need to be good here. First storm will come down on the left, second storm on the right, and you can see the Banelings not managing to get really on top of the Immortals, and they're the big threat right now. There's still 5 Immortals standing in the south here, and they're completely strong. We've got Archons leading the fray now as the chase goes in. There is no blink or anything, which makes us tricky. We're seeing another Stargate go down behind us here for DnS. DnS has a Zealot counterattack that's going to kill so many Queens and then drones. Oh, DnS is playing such cute StarCraft today. He's going to kill so many workers.
Goodness gracious, the Ling's a little slow to respond here, but he is on the warpath now, marching down the field. He's got that observer out so he can clear all of this pesky creep, SortOf completely in the dark now, has no idea about the rotations of his army, or his opponent, has no idea where DnS is, and as you said, DnS adding on that Stargate. We should see the fleet beacon already down. Is it carrier time, Grant?
Yes. Carrier's going to be again production, and this is great because the Greater Spire is on the way for the Zerg player, and I really don't know, how much of this did DnS see? Does he know about the Greater Spire? Nope, has no idea that there is a Greater Spire. So this is pure Star Sense to begin carrier production, 2 at a time. He's not getting any air upgrades yet, but he's so prepared for Broodlords when they hit that he's just playing perfectly. I'm not seeing a mistake out of this game so far from DnS.
Broodlords are a really interesting choice out of SortOf. There are already 5-6 Archons on the map. He's got Storm. A healthy gateway count, you can kind of tell you got a healthy gateway count because he's got so much, so many Archons and so many Zealots doing run-bys and stuff. Broodlords are a really interesting choice against an army that is so clearly strong, and those Archons just ready to jump underneath the Broodlords. We don't see any Corruptors out on, or we do see, 6 Corruptors on the map right now. Ooh, let's see. Is he going to change all those into Broodlords? That could be a huge mistake. I'm really concerned that SortOf is going to make all those Corruptors into Broodlords and then see the carriers and go, oh, well, GG.
Yeah, +1 air weapons on the way, 4 Broodlords. Yep, that's exactly what we kind of expect. He will need to start making more Corruptors pretty soon, but again, the Archon number is so healthy. There's still how many storms? There's 4 High Templars, and they all look to be very close to full energy. So that's like 158 storms, if my math is correct.
I think, yeah, that sounds right.
Batteries coming down everywhere. This is like a 5-base Protoss who is, set up defensively so solidly.
Yeah, he's been doing a great job walling off his 3rd base here with these 2 gateways. That's going to buy him so much time if he gets attacked there, even leaving a Templar there for a big storm in case SortOf tries something cheeky and just tries to smash up against that wall. We see a 3rd Stargate going down, the Mama ship on the way. Now, for SortOf, the Broodlord count is at 4, up to 6 soon. He's got +1 flyer attacks for those Corruptors, and he's got +2 melee attack already down for the Broodlings. So he's going to get a lot of damage done. With those Broodlords, if they can find a good position. The problem is, of course, going to be that positioning. Ice and Chrome is a map that's going to really support, there's a lot of dead space on this map, I don't know if you noticed that, but all these rocks here on the north side, this platform here, just everything where the Broodlords can sort of sit and shell on top of their opponent. So if he can get his positioning right, if the fight goes in his favor and he can roll some Banelings in from a counterattack or something, SortOf may have a chance here. This is going to be a very interesting engagement when it finally does come down, Grant.
Yeah, I just don't think he's going to have an answer for carrier. Right now, we're seeing a few more corruptors come out for a total of, is it just like 6? Seems to be just
9.
a few corruptors on the map. Okay, not the worst number, but
still not enough.
You're still playing against the Protoss who has everything. Blink coming in now. Of course, that's later in the game, but it's fine. The mothership has to be shelled down before anything can be done. If overseers are taken down, there'll be BTs added to this army very soon, and they're a nightmare because they're like invisible squared. It's like invisible-ception when there's a mothership. They're so invisible that they become visible. And DNS's army is huge. His upgrades are great. He has +3 weapons, +1 air weapons already. No shield upgrades, but they're on the way as well. I mean, I honestly can't criticize how DNS has done this.
Yeah, also, I will say very strange rotations out of SortOf. No Vipers. Not a single one. He's going for Hydralisk Den, which makes sense against the carriers, but it does feel a bit too little too late for me. Oh my gosh, look at that.
Yep.
The shield battery overcharge on an unpowered shield battery. I've never seen that before. Nice. That looks cool. Anyway, of course, the Raptor's going to get pushed away by DTs and the carrier. Like, what are you going to do? The carrier's still alive somehow. And might go down here to Corrosive Vials. And the Raptor's actually doing some good damage. 6 probe kills, but oh my god, it's still alive. This is ridiculous.
I mean, the other side of the map right now, war is going in. You can see the Broodlords and the Corruptors trying to do everything. There's a lot of static defense here, and that's nice. If you can get that Spore Forest up, like the days of Yonder, then it does become very difficult to push into. But again, Viper's finally added to the fray. All the upgrades are starting to really kick in for our Protoss player, and as soon as the carrier number hits 7 or 8, if we go that, it's already at 7.
Wow.
It's so hard to break without mass high tech units, infestors, Vipers, everything, and I feel like SortOf just hasn't really got the money. He's broke. No bank. Look at DNS's bank.
Nothing. That's crazy. Now, Grant, I don't usually call out my fellow casters when they make a mistake, but you've made a critical mistake there, and you've said Vipers out for SortOf. He has 1 Viper out right now. He's adding on Viper number 2. But 2 is just not enough Vipers. You've got to have those parasitic bombs. You've got to have the harpoons. It's a strange choice. He's going for infestors, which I think is good if he can get some fungals down, if he can get some neural parasites. He doesn't have neural research, though. Hasn't even started it. This is going to be a very odd spot right now for SortOf to defend. But as we said, if these Broodlords can find a good position over one of the dead spots in the map, they can at least sort of zone out the...
yoink!
There it is. There's the yoink into the Corruptors. The Mothership going to go down. Oh my god, the Mothership's still alive. Chat, keep your -400s in your pocket. Bring him out in a little bit here. A bit of a counterattack going out for DNS on the north side, though, and there's some spores here, but only 1 spine. These +3 zealots are going to do massive damage. Yeah,
and you can see there's even infestors in this area. Sure, some lings will come back to counter it, and that's okay, but these are all units that right now DNS can afford, SortOf can't. DNS is mining about the same amount, but he's at 4k, 3k in the bank, and that is, for a Protoss player, that's a remax. Sure, he probably couldn't remax on everything he wants, but he's making 3 more Stargates, he's getting +3 air weapons, +2 shields, just everything he could ever ask for. And he's also just killed 10 drones with that force I said he can afford to throw away. He didn't throw it away. He's going to cancel the space in the north as well. This is so well played.
It's really interesting. If you look at that income graph, you'll actually see SortOf has been mining more minerals over the last couple minutes until just now than DNS has. He's been mostly ahead. But if the resources lost tab is any indication, he's about 4,000, 5,000 resources lost behind right now. 7,000 resources lost. I can't do math.
Yoink.
Anyway, finally, the yoink does go down. The Mothership will get taken out, and here we go. This is what we're talking about. The army force sort of getting a little bit scarier now as the Corruptor count gets high, the Broodlord count gets high, and now these high energy infestors coming out. Again, they don't have neural parasite. A bit of an oversight for SortOf. He needs that neural parasite on the carriers, but he can fungal growth all the same.
Recall going to come in here. A fungal does go in, and that's going to do a lot of damage, but all of these units mostly will be saved. A couple of Archons and an Immortal go down. That's the first really positive move SortOf made. He got that Mothership. He killed a few High Templars. We've seen 4 go down this game. Excuse me. And SortOf is like, I know I've been praising DNS, but SortOf is alive. You know, he has no creep, but he still is at that point where his army is scary.
Do you see the production tab right now, Grant, for our Protoss player?
6 carriers.
6. I don't know that I've ever seen a game with 6 carriers being made at a time outside of, you know, the Silver League games that I cast sometimes on my channel for fun. This is absolutely, I mean, there's no other word for it, Grant. This is insane. DNS's production is crazy, and he still has 3K in the bank. still on 73 workers, usually at about 20 minutes. This is when players will start sacrificing some of their workers to bulk up their army count a little bit. But 73 workers, still giving him a crazy income. He's, let me check here. He is still, he's barely ahead in the income. Both these players still mining an awful lot this game. This is a really fascinating end game. We're coming up on 20-minute mark now.
DnS has finally just hit +3 air weapons now, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see him look for a fight. Very, very nice Artosis pylon gets taken out by the Banelings, and this base will be dealt with. The workers all get out, which is a really nice win here for DnS. And DnS is, you know, his bank is good, but SortOf is catching up in the bank. And SortOf is a great, great late game Zerg player. He's known for his mechanics. He's known to be solid. Creep spread is finally really starting to come out, and that's going to be very necessary to defend all of these pushes against a slow Protoss army. And I'm very intrigued to see, is DnS just going to go where there is no static defense? Oh, he's moving forward. Oh, here comes the Stormers.
Storms, but fungal growth goes down. Oh my god, the chain fungal. 1 storm, 2 storm, 3 storm, all on top of those Broodlords. The Broodlords, oh my god, they don't even care. They're moving out of the storms. All the Templar are getting picked off there. Not a great trade there for for DnS rather. He gave away a little bit of energy, or a little bit of health on these Broodlords, but lost so many Templar. And now the Broodlords going to go ahead and siege up this 9 o'clock position as there's another attack going down on the south side also.
Yeah, it looks like DnS will hold this. He has a battery there. He has a good chunk of Zealots with great upgrades.
Yeah.
But this attack up here, DnS is going to recall again. He's going to give this up and recall most likely down to the south. Where did army go? Where did that army go? Okay, he just recalled 1 base south. This is I feel like DnS needs to be a little bit braver now. His army is immense. What is he waiting for? He's getting +1 air armor, but he's got +3 air weapons. He's got +2 shields. In terms of the upgrade game, he's ahead in the air, give or take. And I feel like he needs to try and find a fight somewhere, because this is starting to get a bit out of control in terms of static defense now for the Zerg. And we've all seen this before, how important it is. This is what he needs. Oh, that's such a big storm. So many units get weakened. A fair few go down as well to the storm, the Archons and the carriers. That's a great start there for DnS.
Yeah, you know, you said earlier DnS needs to be a bit braver, and I think that is exactly the right word for what he needs. Bailey's gonna just clean this up? Yeah. That's exactly what he needs. We've seen him now engage. There are basically been 2 big engagements for DnS and SortOf in this match. The first one going in SortOf's favor, and behind it, DnS recalled out and escaped by recalling. The second engagement, the exact same thing happened, and every time you recall, that gives your opponent 3 or 4 extra seconds on the retreat to snipe what they can, to pick off some units, to get some free kills, and of course it cedes your position of power on the map, meaning that you're giving it up completely. And we saw DnS losing out this 10 o'clock base, and losing his position on the south side when that other fight happened. So right now DnS does need to be a bit braver. I mean, mate, you've got 16 full health +3/+1 carriers, full-on interceptors underneath the mothership. You've got to feel confident enough to take a fight here, no matter where your opponent is. I think he's hoping to catch SortOf with some Broodlords out of position or something. The Broodlords though, almost dead weight.
Okay, now we have the fight coming in, the yoink coming in the mothership. Broodlord actually very, very far forward. We see a time warp go down to stop some of these Broodlords landing. Corruptor's going to get all together. There's no storms underneath all of this, and that's scary. Oh my god, the funk grows so many carriers here. But it does look like DnS maybe just has a little bit too much in the tank. Maybe too many carriers. It's adding its 6 Void Rays behind us. I honestly don't know who won this fight.
You know, I think it was SortOf, and I'll tell you why. Even though the carriers are still alive, they did lose a fair few. Oh, they didn't. The interceptors are all still alive. But behind us, look at what SortOf is remaxing on.
30 Corruptors.
Yeah, he can trade all these Broodlords. I don't think he cares. It's not great losing those Broodlords, because he will want them later, and DnS might be able to shift again. So what's going to be fascinating here is if DnS...
Nice recall.
Yeah, he's going to recall. Smart play. Smart play. Going to recall back to his 9 o'clock base. He's also got some pressure on the 12 o'clock. But I think what's going to happen here is DnS has enough in the bank. He's going to lose all these carriers if he can take out a lot of Corruptors or do some economic damage in the background, and then he's going to remax on, like, DT, Archon, Zealot, Stalker or something, and there'll be all Corruptors in the air, SortOf completely out of money, and he won't be able to change any of those Corruptors into Broodlords, and he'll have nothing left to respond. Because look at his ground army right now. 19 Lings and 5 Hydras? Nothing. Nothing.
There's a lot of Void Rays too, and these Void Rays are still very heavily upgraded. If we look at the air upgrades, in the next few seconds, our Protoss player is going to take over. And Void Rays, does he have the upgrade to make them big, quick boys? No, he does not. Flux Veins, whatever it is. But they're still very good against these armored units, and with this much carrier support, I still like the Air Force. I definitely agree. There are a few Archons in the mix right now, as there are. If there are any Broodlords left, what two? A few Archons would be massive here, but DNS is going to continue looking for damage elsewhere. Oh my god, that's so many Corruptors. Jesus.
It's insane. It's insane. He is adding on another Viper as well, and there it is, +3 air armor coming down, as well as that +3 shields as well. Corruptors can go ahead and take a fight here. There's no mothership, and DNS slightly out of position here. The Corruptors are going to dodge a storm there. 2 free carriers. Not a bad start for SortOf, but look at that. DNS is like, oh, you killed 2 carriers? I'm going to build 3 more.
Yep. Yeah, DNS, and behind this, DNS has the bank to make 150, 10, 15, let's say, Archons, which is massive. Like, the remax potential here is a really important thing, because the fight, you imagine, will probably be relatively even. Maybe SortOf has a slight lead because Zerg late game is broken. Thanks, Blizzard. But the remax potential is where it is all at, and SortOf has no money. He has plenty of lava. He's at 25. But what can he make? Like, a few lings? They're not great against Archons that have 3-3.
Yeah.
3-3-3. Oh, I can't say that.
That's terrifying. 3-3 and 3 out of our Protoss ground army. I mean, well, they don't have +3 armor. They just have +3 weapons and shields.
But Archons don't benefit from armor, though.
That's true, they don't. So the Archons, yeah, oh man. This is going to be a wacky end game. I think we've been saying that for about 20 minutes now, Grant, but it's all going to come down to this end fight. It really does depend almost entirely on positioning, on the engagement, and on who can get those spells out in the correct order. And this is what I really love about StarCraft, man. There are so many ways a game can end, and this is one of the more interesting and complex ways.
Yeah, and this is going to be a grueling game for both of the players too. SortOf specifically, he knows he cannot lose this map. This map for him right now is, I mean, every win is important, but SortOf really did need to win at least one map. Even if he loses the series, he can still go on, but he really needs to be winning every map he can, and he should be winning the series with his current form. DNS wants to win the series because he hasn't won a series yet, and there is still a very slight scientific chance of him moving forward. But also he wants to make $125 just for winning a series. So the game has huge implications for both of these guys, and you can see them playing that in their minds, playing very carefully.
Yeah, you make a very salient point. It is not just that the tournament is so important, especially for SortOf right now, who's teetering on the edge of extinction, but that the money is still good, man. $125 for a best of 3 is about the best money you could ask for, the most reliable money you could ask for. It is StarCraft 2 match, and here we go. It looks like these players finally ready to engage. One yoink onto a carrier. One carrier does go down. The Archons trying to get underneath these Corruptors. They're not going to be able to, but the wall has been breached here at the 4th base, and we see the shield battery overcharge already coming down, Grant.
Yeah, there's still a few cannons here, a couple of Zealots and a DT being morphed in. This is going to be defended, and this is again a loss that really SortOf can't afford, because he has to remake some kind of ground force. You can see he's making 12 lings. He doesn't want to be making those lings. That base was, like, I believe almost entirely mined out, if not entirely. It's entirely mined out. Who gives a shed about that base right now? Especially, definitely not DNS. And just the further this game goes, it's very difficult for a Protoss to win hyper late game against Zerg. But if anyone is showing off how to do it right now, I still like DNS's position.
I do. Yeah, you know, I'll counter that and say SortOf's position also quite strong. I know you implied it, certainly. Both players, it's weird, but both players in a winnable position right now at 30 minutes. And Grant, here it comes. Is this going to be our final fight?
I honestly don't think we're going to see either player really commit if they don't have to. I think this game has probably got another good 10 minutes left in it. To be honest with you, you can see DNS, as soon as something isn't right, he can recall. He wants to wait for his mothership to come back. He wants to wait till he's really maxed the whole way, and is feeling good about that. Meanwhile, our Zerg player probably won't commit until he has +3 air weapons. He forgot it for a long time, but when that's done, upgrades dead even across the board. We'll have +3 air, +3 armor, and +3 shields for the Protoss, and the free air weapons and air armor for our Zerg.
Now, Grant, there's a wild card we haven't talked about yet in this matchup, and I'm going to propose something crazy, because I think this is SortOf's golden ticket to win this game. Hear me out.
Okay.
Mass Broodlord. Throw away all your Corruptors. Screw it. Mass Broodlord. Hydras underneath. Keep these infestors here. Microbial Shroud.
I'd love it, but he can't afford it.
I've solved it. Come on. Come on, he's got 1,500 in the bank. He could do it. Just for the lulz, come on, sort of. We did see Microbial Shroud twice yesterday in the NA qualifiers. I had to explain it. Chat blew up. They were like, "What's that red stuff on the ground?" And I was like, "Oh, let me tell you, sweet summer children." Oh, another nice yoink here. One carrier goes down, but the mothership not able to get nailed, and that's a huge problem. Nice feedback, actually, on one of those Vipers, the Viper count. I'm sorry for those zoom-ins. Yeah. The Viper count still very low for sort of only on 2. I'm not sure why he hasn't gone up to 3 or 4. I feel like more Vipers would be more useful than 10 Infestors right now.
Yeah, the Infestors, he never got Neural, did he? Yes, he did. Yeah,
he's got it.
Okay, so, I mean, if you Neural 10 carriers, the game changes on a dime. But it's very difficult to get that close, especially when they're under a mothership and things. We have another run by here for this base. The main benefit of killing this base right now is that there is a lot of production here, but we're going to see a base sniped as well for our from our Zerg. That base down at about the 426 mark.
That's very impressive, Grant.
Thanks.
Well, this is interesting.
Actual clock.
Nice. DnS is actually cornered a little bit here. He's going to be forced to recall out of this position. I think he doesn't want to engage with this. Not with the Broodlords here. Not with the current Corruptors
here.
Oh my
god. The feedbacks are good though.
Big feedbacks on those Immortals. Goodness gracious. Big feedbacks on those Infestors. And we do see another base trying to go down here from SortOf. It's going to finish up. And I think this base not so much for mining as it is just for scouting. Just so he knows where his opponent is. And he can expand his map presence a little bit. You can see he's leaving Lings here so that there are no Zealot run-bys. And he's still posturing, trying to pin this army up against the corner of the map. SortOf is really being very aggressive here. And as we said about 10 minutes ago, DnS being very passive in this game.
But I'll say it once, I'll say it 100 times. Look at the bank. Another feedback coming in there. 6k, 5k to 2k, 2k. I mean, I'm not great at math. Oh my god, that is like fungal. But all of the Broodlords will go down, and that's going to give so much free reign onto all of these cons now. The fight doesn't want to take place over dead air, though. Good storm as well, because these Corruptors, they need Archons underneath them. Don't fight under batteries, SortOf. You can see now Archon stepping forward. Lots going down there for both, but SortOf taking the less favorable trade. He's making Hydras behind this. But
I told you. I called it.
No, he's making Corruptors too.
Yeah, whatever. He's gonna cancel that Corruptor as soon. It's all Microbial Shroud. Hear me out, guys. It's the new EU strat of 2020. Max Hydras, max Corruptors, Microbial Shroud. You can take that to the bank. So he lost a lot of Broodlords there, SortOf did, but there's not that much. I'm a little surprised to see him still cranking out a lot of Broodlords. He's up to 8, which is a pretty healthy number. There's no real ground army, though, from DnS. He's just got these Zealots to do the run-bys. Hydras are here to deal with it. I love that he's using the Changelings as, like, body armor to try and mess up that Zealot pathing. And wow, SortOf actually going to save this top corner base. But I'm a little confused as to why he's still making so many Broodlords when there's 2 Archons on the map. 2.
It's nice to zone out High Templars, to have those Broodlords, as the Lings have just done there, you can see. High Templars get hit by those Broodlings. They go down very quickly, and if you can catch your opponent off guard, you can make High Templars disappear before they can storm. In the same way, they can feed back you. It's sort of the same conundrum for both of them, where if one of them sees the other, they can kill them. The base finally going down up here in the 11 o'clock position. We're going to see a bit of a fight going down, a couple of storms as well to zone this off. But this is okay now. DnS wants that base a lot because the opposition base of the same one on the opposite side of the map has been taken by SortOf, and you always want to be matching your opponent in bases if we get to hyper late game.
Absolutely, and not just matching them, but you want to be there as quickly as you can so that your bases mine out fairly evenly. And more importantly, I guess, or equally as importantly, you got to remember that every mineral that is in the bank for you is a mineral that's off the map, and it's a mineral that your opponent can't have access to later. So as you get into hyper late game situations, you got to be thinking about, like, okay, if I can get to a base, mine it out, lickety split, that's like one less risk I have to take later in the game. These Zealots are going to pick that base off, but I mean, we're going to see SortOf fighting for this base because, as you said, every base location, especially these 2 outside corner ones on Ice and Chrome, are going to become very important. And if we could just give another shout out to the map maker here, putting these outside bases on the low ground is so cool because it makes them just that much more vulnerable. These late game armies, especially if it's max air army, and with all this dead space, I can just see carriers parking over there and taking out this one, or on the other side, I can see Broodlords taking it out and going over the base there. This is really cool, Grant.
So we're about 15 minutes, I would say, from the map being mined out. Maybe slightly more, as some of the bases have been taken quite late. But we're getting towards a point where it's going to become a consideration for these players. And I think DNS at this point may even be resigning to say, okay, let's just wait. I've got more money, or I should have more money. I've been more cost effective. And things are looking good. We do have an attack coming on right now over here. Oh, a lot of the production facilities being hit. Some Stargates going down that are actually still producing carriers. So that's frustrating. We should see them remade pretty soon here by DNS.
Yeah, he's definitely going to need to. With his bank, he wants maximum production facilities on the map at all time. But I will say, he's taking out those production facilities, which is nice. But try and think back to about 5-6 minutes ago on this map. Remember 5 or 6 minutes ago, there was a Nexus here? There was a Nexus here. There were 2 Nexi on that far side of the map. Even though they're mined out now, it'd still be nice for DNS to have vision on that side of the map. And it does show, as we've said time and time again, that DNS is being very cautious here. And SortOf is definitely the aggressor in this game. He's even moving with another Hydra Ling Force to clear out yet another base of DNS. DNS's slow-moving army is being bamboozled right now by SortOf, who's playing a bit like a Terran player and sort of dropping all over the map and keeping pressure in multiple locations at once. This is really good play from SortOf.
Yeah, I'm liking what SortOf's doing now. He's starting to use the maneuverability of his army, but we still have some maneuverability in this army too, as we do see the recall to the mothership, allowing the units to move around quite quickly as well. I like what SortOf is doing. He is using that very fast army, like Bio, but ultimately, there's got to be a fight. I find it very difficult to see how a Zerg player wins this fight. How many Corruptors does he currently have?
34.
Holy! I thought that was like the drone number. That was so many. Okay,
No,
that's pretty good.
He has almost as many Corruptors as he has drones. We're just a double yoink there on the carrier. Again, interesting, and I know I've said this a couple times now, but the unit counting station still only shows 2 Vipers for SortOf. He's going to be relying almost entirely on DPS and not on spells. More pressure now on the natural of DNS, and as we said earlier, production facilities going down. This is bad news bears for DNS, who's counting on some sort of remax capability. Look at his bank, but it doesn't matter how big your bank is if you don't have any production behind that. He is currently sitting on 13 gates, but this natural is getting closer and closer to being in danger. The creep spread from SortOf still pushing forward. DNS has not done a great job pushing that creep back.
DNS is finally starting to learn. He's going to throw down way more cannons, I imagine, at every base. He's got DT taking down the Great Aspire. Now, that is going to be dealt with, but that's nice. If you can get rid of that, that could end up being a tool for later. That takes a long time to remake. We're seeing more probes go down here, but at this point, DNS can throw away workers. He still has a good bank. SortOf's bank, you know, kind of caught up a little bit in all of this time, where he's had this either north base or southeast-ish base. God, this is so hard to call. It's going to come down to the fight.
Yeah, I think so. We can talk about it a million different ways. We can talk about the ways the players are grabbing small pieces of advantage, but really the advantage they're gaining is maybe 5-10% of what's going to be the final decision here. When really most of it, almost a huge majority, is coming down to the storms, the harpoons, the corrosive vials, the parasitic bombs. The time warps, really everything. This is going to be a fantastic. I feel like this is a fireworks show, Grant, where we're all just like sitting on the lawn waiting for about an hour. And we know that there's going to be an amazing 30-second burst, and we're just waiting for when it's going to happen.
Yeah, I went to Disneyland Paris once, and we waited for the fireworks show for 3 hours. It wasn't worth it. Yeah, not worth it. It's fireworks. It's just things going bang and being colourful. I can watch it on YouTube. Both players posturing here, looking for a fight. Nothing too exciting happening, just like my time at Disneyland Paris.
Wow. You and my college philosophy.
Mickey Mouse.
You and my college philosophy professor need to get together. She had a big problem with people taking photos of fireworks. She was like, "That's the most idiotic thing ever. Why would you take a photo of a firework? That's the entire opposite point of the experience."
Yes.
I got a big lecture on that because we had a photo project. We had to take photos of stuff we thought was beautiful, and somebody brought in fireworks, and she was like, "No, you're wrong. You're wrong.
Failed.
You're an idiot." It was very funny because we were all freshmen. She was trying to be polite, but at the same time, she's like, "Listen, you don't know anything, kid." Lings into the natural here. The DTs will clean him up, but man, I love that SortOf is being more and more bold, being more and more. He's encroaching further and further on DNS's home turf, and we can see DNS. Oh my God, some Banelings picking off the only remaining probes here. DNS down to 19 probes right now, and that's going to mean that his income is going to fall even further behind SortOf. Now, SortOf, The income, as we said, doesn't really matter at this point. The bank's still massive and a remax unlikely after the massive fight. But these little advantages that SortOf is taking are really going to bode well for him by the end of the game.
Yeah, now SortOf needs to be a little bit wary that every time he kills a probe, it's replaced with a void ray or a carrier. And an army supply right now, 15 army supply at this point could be huge if the fight is correct.
Yeah, definitely, but with the clause, of course, if the fight is correct. And man, SortOf knows what this army is. This is so interesting. It seems like SortOf, anytime he sees DNS's army on top of one of his bases, he rotates his corruptors around and then tries to pick something off. And we're going to see a recall of these carriers. Where's he recalling to? The middle of the map to defend against this run by. But he does lose a couple carriers there, and SortOf continuing to pick off carriers left and right. Look at the units lost tab here. First of all, holy crap, the units lost tab. 12 carriers have gone down, 22 corruptors, 15 broodlords. For 40 minutes into a game, this is about the most even resources lost tab I've ever seen in my life, Grant.
537 lings.
Wow.
Can't even count that high. I ran out of fingers and toes.
Doesn't matter how close to Chernobyl you live, you just can't quite get to that number on your fingers and toes. Zealot run by is going to get cleaned up by these lings, but again, we see the Spore Crawler Forest going down for SortOf here, who's adding on a ton of a static defense, which I think is the right call. I think he's realizing that, look, I'm not going to remax after this final fight. It's just going to be, I'm either going to win or lose here. In this final fight. So adding that static defense and hoping that he can sort of goad DNS into a bad fight. But yeah, both players trading out workers. It's sort of building 6 more drones. This is so strange. Did you see the storm being used to pick off changelings?
Yeah.
Ha!
I think the drones are probably being made for static defense at this point.
Yeah, I think you're right.
This is very old school, and I really hope Johnny Rico's watching, because he'll be in heaven. This is what Zergs were doing in Heart of the Swarm. Mass Broodlord, mass Infestors, and then just static defense everywhere. I would have liked to have seen a couple of Tempests possibly from DnS, so we can pick off a unit every now and then and try and be more cost effective, but the fight is coming in. Growth's on everything, but is it going to be enough? There's so much growth on.
Man, I just don't know. The DPS output from these carriers is insane. The huge storms going down. We're watching a slideshow right now because nobody's graphics card can keep up with all these polygons. Fungal growth and parasitic bombs doing a nice job here, but it looks like the fungal growth capability really significantly reduced. The corruptor count still super high, though. 20 corruptors still out. The carrier count down to 11. Another fungal growth locking down some of these carriers. I think SortOf's done it. He's at 110 army supply to 50 of DNS.
Yeah, it was just so many corruptors. The fungals were just one after another, after another, after another. DNS fought so far in the open, and now take a look at the supply crate in Olsen, because it is 134 to 40. There are 15 High Templars being warped in though, and that's a lot, but that is just not going to be enough. There's nothing to get under the Broodlords anymore. There's nothing to deal with all of this. Everything going down, and SortOf is he finds his moment and he strikes.
I mean, a beautiful engagement, and you know, we've been saying it for literally 35 minutes now, Grant. It's all going to come down to that final fight and SortOf just executing perfectly. Parasitic bombs, fungal growths, keeping the infestors alive, using those vipers and keeping the vipers alive so they can get their spells off, just executing flawlessly here. And the bank for DNS down to nothing, as you said, trying to morph in some more Archons, but the corruptors are here. They're going to start caustic spraying down all the tech from DNS, and at this point I think SortOf might be wondering, like, wait a minute, do you have another trick up your sleeve that I'm not expecting? Because why haven't you tapped out yet, DNS?
Yeah, DNS right now probably just gathering his thoughts, follow the leader. As we have I don't even know what's going on anymore. There's 100 Archons, but unfortunately they can be nailed down here. Is there any infestors left?
There are 7, but they're a little low on energy, so he's going to need good fungal growth. He could go for neural parasites, actually, which might be nice. Fungal on the ramp, neural parasites, broodlords to rain down. Storms are not going to be able to save this. Again, a beautiful engagement from SortOf. Could have been a little minor comeback for DNS, but I don't think there's enough gas in the tank, Grant.
No, there's nothing now. DNS, you cheeky boy. Yeah, that was... I mean, that game came down to fungal growth. It's absolutely insane. As I watch back the fight now, the first fungal hit... How much did it hit? Okay, so it hits about half. And then, okay, yeah, then about 2/3. And then the fungals just chained over and over and over again. The corruptors dodging the storms in the final fight. Oh, perfect.
Yeah, it was so well executed. The parasitic bomb, if you notice, there was one on the south flank and one on the north flank. Yep. So even if the splitting was good, he was going to catch a majority of those. And with SortOf's win here, I can't believe this, Grant. we're going to get into game number 3 now of this series. It's even up now, 1-1.
Yeah, and an insanely long game 2 there after a very quick game 1. And what do we see differ? Coming onto Everdream again, it's a standard map. It does have the rich Vespian geysers, which can favor going late game, specifically for a Protoss player to get the Archons and things. But also Zerg loves it for infestors. I wouldn't be surprised to see this one go short or long.
Yeah. Either way, it's going to be fascinating to watch. I'm just watching chat scroll through. God, I love Twitch chat. Half of it is Protoss is OP. Protoss can't lose in the end game. Once Protoss gets to max carry, there's nothing you can do. The other half is Zerg late game is unbeatable. You can't win against Zerg in late game. Zerg is too good. What a throw for SortOf. What a throw for DnS. Absolutely insane, guys. At some point, StarCraft fans, we're going to have to admit that this is a really good fucking game. And it's well balanced and fairly well designed. And the people working on it might be smarter than you. Maybe.
One thing I will say is that Coordinate in chat saying M. Canning would have won that. I'm right, he would have.
Disruptors famously do really well against Carrier Broodlord.
The King of America never loses.
USA! So SortOf is going to take a quick bio break. No surprises. As we get DNS loading into our lobby. Grant, this has been...
You have your alerts turned on.
What was that?
You have your alerts turned on.
Oh, I do? Oh, shit. I will fix that.
I just saw your face pop up on the screen. I was like, what the fuck?
Oh, man, I'm so sorry. I didn't think those were on. I'll turn off my Twitch alerts. Thanks for whoever followed me and I didn't notice.
Thanks, followers.
Anyway, goodness gracious. What a game. I was just about to say, Grant, yesterday, as we said, a lot of 2-0 wins, a lot of sort of very easy, not walkovers, but it just seemed to be the phase in the bracket where the top ranked players were sort of just, it happened to be the time that they were all playing the players who were maybe the underdogs. And so yesterday, I remember Steadfast and I finished up, I think 4 games in an hour and 15 minutes. 4 series, rather, in an hour and 15 minutes. It was just
ridiculous.
Like that. And of course, this second game, 45 minutes long. But Grant SortOf is back from the restroom. DNS is ready to go. And I think we're ready to roll here. The countdown has begun. Grant, give me your gut. Who you feeling here in game number 3?
Hero Marine?
Done. Hero Marine takes it 3-1. It's going to become a best of 5, and Hero Marine's going to come in from another game.
No.
That's what we're going to see. We're going to see a bio ball of Marines and Marauders just move onto the map, and we're like, where the hell did those come from? And they just have Hero Marine's name on them.
Yeah, no, if I have to call it right now, I'm saying SortOf after that game 2. DNS doesn't particularly all in. He is going for a block once again here as we get into the map. But I feel like if the game goes long, SortOf is favored. I don't think SortOf will play for a very micro-intensive early game style. He'd rather it go long. And yeah, DNS looked so good in that game, but he couldn't close. And ABC, or whatever you said, A always B, B, C closing.
Ah, beautiful stuff. Did you finally watch Glengarry Glen Ross?
No.
Oh, you monster. I forgot to link it to you. I'll fix it later. Anyway.
I watched the Eurovision movie twice.
Oh, jeez. Come on, buddy. Spawning in the bottom left-hand side in the red of Everdream LE, our French Protoss player, showing us a hell of a game 2, but victory eluding his grasp, looking for his first win of the tournament. From Cascade Gaming, it's DNS.
And his opponent in the top right-hand side, playing for Cosmos Esports, he is the blue Swedish Zerg. It's SortOf.
Man, and I love a good game 3 after a well-fought game 2. Every now and then a game 3 will pop up and a player will be like, you know what, 12 pool, why not? Just throw caution to the wind. We've seen it before with was it Bly? Oh, it was a different tournament I was casting where Bly took out Lambo. He did the reverse sweep against Lambo 3-2. So he lost the first 2 games, and then both game 3 and game 5, he went for a 3 Spinecrawler 12 pool. Just, the cheekiest play ever. But this game, I'm really happy to see both players expanding at reasonable times, standard openings. And so SortOf opens Stargate first. both games before this. Is he going to go for Stargate again here?
It's very... It is just the way I've always seen DnS play. Now, are we going to see him do it again? Most likely, I would say. I think we'll probably see the same sort of Stargate to Glaive depth build, because it did work in Game 2. It really did. And it also works very well defensively, and Oracle is a great defensive tool. But he has to close. He did a lot of damage last game. He killed like 12, 15 workers relatively early on. He got a strong army, and then he sat back and allowed the Zerg to get to that hyper late game stage. We are seeing the Stargate once again as sort of predicted here for DnS. SortOf at the other side is getting his third now at his natural due to the block. And everything as it has been, really.
You would have been so proud of me yesterday, Grant. I used the phrase tickety boo. And,
so good.
See, I was like, man, if Grant were here, he'd be slapping me on the back. He'd be buying me a pint at Weatherspoons right now. I've gone full Brit. Ling sneaks in here. Does see the Stargate though. This is a sneaky little move in from SortOf.
Yeah, it's good to confirm that is what you're playing against. I think the Overlord would have seen it eventually anyway.
Right.
Nothing went down, nothing died except that Ling. So yeah, but it's nice. He will just get his spores at the standard time of about 4 minutes, and feel pretty content defending. Queen production should continue up to about 5, maybe 6. Looks like 5.
Yeah, first Oracle pops out now, moving across the map, but the Oracle timing even going to be spotted by these Lings coming across. Oh, no, he's not. Sort of going to hide those Lings. 5 Lings going to start tapping on DNS's chamber door, but he's got an Adept in the wall. He should be just fine. Second Oracle coming down for DNS, and with the 2 Oracles together, with their powers combined, and these Adepts sort of actually losing a lot of mining time here as natural.
Yeah, this is good damage so far to get things started here for DNS. Really, with 1 Oracle, you want to be getting a little bit. He's going to take down a couple of Lings as well. The Adept will shade away pause. Okay, shaded all the way home. That's fine. At the other side of the map, it looks like no damage was done. The Oracle surviving is very important, because as the second one comes, of course, they grow exponentially in power. We're seeing more Adepts, and I expect we'll see a Twilight Council very soon from our Protoss player. Always go for a quick third.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah. I thought we were going to see that. I figured it would be Twilight Council and then Robo. But looks like just the third going down for DNS here. Already dropping a couple pylons as well, just to make sure things are secure. The Overlord Scout coming in from SortOf. He's going to confirm this. He has not seen that third base, actually, so he needs to pop that Overlord over. But he will see the Robo going down in the natural. I think he'll make it over to see that. That'll be close.
Yeah, he should do. There's nothing wild coming his way anyway. And that's important right now, because as I've said, I really do like SortOf in this situation. Meanwhile, at the other end of the map, some Adepts have got in again. DNS is good with his Adepts, and now he's going to recall. He won't even lose any, but he finds another 3 workers for a total now 6 killed. It's really not bad, because the Oracles are alive as well, retaining so much utility going forward.
Sure.
This Overlord will get tickled down here in DNS's natural. But right now, everything is pretty good for the Frenchman, I'd say. But he is, there's a lot of Lings coming across the map. Okay, no, he's okay.
Yeah, he's going to be just fine. Lings pushed away. Now we see the Roach Warren and the Lair Tech coming down, as well as Evo Chamber for SortOf, which indicates to me that he wants to get on speed Roaches and maybe grab +1 missile attacks here for a bit of a Roach Ravager pressure. It feels to me like SortOf is a bit slow, though, if he stays on Roach Ravager right now. I would expect Roach Ravager to hit a little bit earlier than this. And I feel like the Lair's a little bit late. Am I feeling this correctly, Grant, or is he sort of right on track?
Yeah, I think he's okay. The Lairs are probably later than normal because he had to remake some drones and things. But I'm not massively surprised here by the timing of things. Both players are going to be playing a little bit longer. These Oracles, though, now with 3 of them, this is slightly surprising. You don't expect to see 3. Finally, 1 will go down, but 2 of them, they're not thinking up their shots. That wasn't great in the end. It started so positively, but losing 2 Oracles there is not good. 13 workers killed. DNS has a worker lead. He is freebasing against freebase, but can he close? That's my concern. Like, I just want him to kill him.
Close.
Just kill him.
A great question, Grant. Charge Lot's on the way, +1 on the way. Charge Lot Immortal going to be the follow-up here, and it's going to be very, very strong because, as we've said, SortOf just on speed Roaches right now. Now, interestingly, look at this. He's gone for +1 melee attacks, not +1 missile attacks. A bit of an unusual choice to go for more Ling pressure because there's already a Templar Archives down. He's going to have Storm out before too long at all, and we've seen how scary DNS's Storms are in the last game.
Yeah, I think he may have been anticipating more adepts coming his way, actually. Hence why getting the +1 ground upgrades makes banelings very, very good. Is there a baneling nest? Yes. And I'm guessing no baneling speed just yet, but we should see that coming soon. So I think that's probably what was expected here from our Zerg player. But our Protoss is doing something different. Instead, he is getting a whole bunch of Sentries, Immortals, and Archons, and he's going to go with this force instead. Neither attacking one another.
Yeah.
Just hanging, just chilling out.
It's a very passive game as of yet. Good scouts here by SortOf, sees what this army looks like. And once those Link scouts are the Link scouts are going to see the warp in here. Some more Archons coming. And DnS getting ready for a big push. 58 army supply to 74. But, okay, 8 banelings coming in for SortOf. He's got a couple Roaches and Ravagers on the map right now. His +1 will be finished by then. But this attack from DnS is going to hit like a truck, Grant. 3 Archons, 2 Immortals, plenty of Sentries with a lot of energy. These Sentries have been around for a long time. And I'm a bit worried right now if SortOf's going to try and defend this third base. He's got to pull something really good out.
Yeah, but DnS is just so slow. Go, Adrian! Okay, he's going to move on to creep now. He wanted to wait for his observer to get here, but it's given more time for our Zerg to reposition. You can see he's instantly going to fall back off creep. Not the worst decision. These banelings don't have speed, but you need to be a little bit more aggressive with an attack like this. I know behind this he has a fourth base, but that's a lot of banelings.
That's a lot of banelings. 20 of them on the map right now.
They don't have speed.
They don't.
They're speedless banelings, which means you can kite, you can do something. And we saw how it goes if the game goes hyper late game, and that's my concern, is that DnS is looking for a similar situation here. He's not looking to kill his opponent. He's not looking to hit a timing. And I love DnS. He's one of the nicest guys in the world. But if I could find a fault in this series, that would be it. I can't believe baneling speed still hasn't started.
It's got to be a mistake at this point from SortOf. If you've got that many banelings and you don't have baneling speed, it's just a mistake. Banelings will come in to help clear out these zealots. One zealot, there we go. Finally, this zealot does get cleaned up. Little baneling waddle in here, but there's an immortal here. There's a shield battery. There's a photon cannon. There's no way these banelings do much.
Crazy seeing how much damage immortals do. Oh! That was good. I liked that.
It wasn't good for either player. It was just fun to watch.
Yeah.
So much fun to watch. Storm coming down now for DnS, which, as we said earlier, you got this Templar Archives ages ago, of course, for the Archons, but Storm a little bit late. I would have expected a bit sooner after seeing so many Links and Banes, but he's still making the right call. Finally, baneling speed on the way for SortOf here, but the Overseer's gonna get in for SortOf, and he should know what he's up against. Sees the +2 spinning away. The upgrades, by the way, way in favor of DnS, who's just finished up his +2, could be working on +3. Yeah, starts his +3 right away. That could be a big factor when these armies finally engage. But yeah, Grant, I think you're right. We're digging our heels here for a bit of a longer game again.
Yeah, very, very important scout by the Overseers there to see the Storm is coming, and he drops a Contaminate on it as well to slow it down for a while. Because Storm is going to be an important tool. We do have some action going on in the main. We have the Zealots getting dropped into that Prism. They are going to be picked up, but throughout this game, DnS has now killed 20 workers and lost none of his own. DnS has done great in terms of finding damage. His worker count is phenomenal, but again, I just worry he's not going for the extra Stargates this game so far. If it gets that far, this becomes scary. Right now, I still love what DnS is doing, but the Infestation Pit is on the way. Baneling speed has finished. That is so many banelings. Oh, I'd love to see a big storm.
59 banelings on the map right now, but there are a crap ton of Archons adding on 8 more as well. This is crazy. This is one of those YouTube videos with all caps. Some good storms there, softening up the banelings. The first bunch of banelings exploding on those Archons. The Archon's still alive. That is not the trade that's SortOf needed, but he is still ahead in workers. And behind this, he slips some banelings into the third. Lambo, 15 probes going down.
Yeah, just like that, the probes that had died earlier in the game are given some revenge, but across the other side, it looks like DnS also isn't done. Lots of economic damage being traded between these two. It looks like SortOf has pulled his entire army into his main, and that's going to leave this space down here in the 3 o'clock position quite open. Luckily, all of these Zealots quite low. They will finally go down. SortOf's creep isn't great again. It's not something he's really worked on throughout this, but his hive is on the way.
Well, the problem is, the reason his creep isn't so good is because he's only on 2 queens right now, Grant. He's trying to remake 2 more, but those continued zealot drops in the main into the third. That War Prism, by the way, still hanging out on the north side of the map, just being threatening. He's just hanging out, looking threatening. And the north side of the map, but here's a big engagement. Good storm on those banelings, but Corrosive Bile is going to clear up a lot of that front army. DnS losing a couple valuable units there, and SortOf not so much.
Yeah, now the Baneling count did go from over 60 to below 30 once again, or to about 30 once again, which is terrible, because the Banelings are at this point the key DPS unit here for SortOf. DnS is up in supply, and it's all army supply right now. His drops have been relentless this game, and I really like to see that he didn't go for the same Stargate play. He's just going mass Protoss ground units, finding as much damage as he can, and it's working. Look how many workers are about to go down.
Yeah, he's got workers in the 4th base, workers in the main base. Finally, the Warp Prism will get sniped by a Corrosive Vibe, but there is that other Warp Prism in the main right now, which could still be warping in. The 4th base gone now for SortOf. His DNS is now on the warpath. DNS ahead on workers, ahead on bases. The army supply is roughly even, but he's ahead on upgrades as well at +3. This could be SortOf's final stand.
The Storms are fantastic as well to take down all of the Banelings. That now means there is one Baneling left on the field, but DNS's army is very softened up. You can see it is mainly Immortals right now, and they need to juggle, they need to dance to stay alive as long as possible. A couple of Archons coming in are going to make all the difference here. Once they finish up, they're not going to stand and fight. Hit some snaps, my friends. There we go. Lots and lots of damage coming down. It does look like this fight's going to end up being relatively even, but meanwhile in the main, once again, DNS is relentless. The supply 40 to 127, and I questioned it. Can DNS close? The answer is Creighton Olsen. DNS closes. DNS takes the first series of a tournament.
Excellent game by DNS there.